Well, I guess you say what can make me feel this way, my girl. Talking about my girl, my girl. I got so much honey, bees in me. I can sing a sweeter song than the birds and the trees. Well, I guess you say what can make me feel this way, Sabby, Sabby. Talking about Sabby, my sister. Welcome to RBN. Hello, everybody. Good to see you on this beautiful Thursday evening. The Sabby and Jaybe show is every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also catch Sabby tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Is that right, Sabs?
That's right.
All right. Good to see you, Sabs. How you doing?
What's going on, Jaybe? It's been a minute. I know you had a little trip last Thursday. That's why we weren't here for people who don't know. But I know you went to an event, I think.
I was supposed to do something and it never happened, but it's okay. Yeah, it happens. I was supposed to, but yeah, such is life. But I at least got some time to just chill, which was good. One day, so that was nice. But yeah, outside of that, that's what happened. If you guys have not already, go ahead and like the stream. Go ahead and do that for us. And don't forget to share and subscribe. And please make sure to check if you're still subscribed, because some funny stuff has been happening. So we want to make sure that we got that squared away. All right. Also, if you guys have not, you guys can also subscribe to our Substack at revolutionaryblackout.substack.com. Gives you email notifications whenever we go live. So you guys have that there. And if you guys have any stories to submit or just want to send some encouraging words, go ahead at revolutionaryblackout@outlook.com.
Yeah.
And yes, we did not plan this, but yes, we're both wearing plaid. I don't care what you say. Wonder Twins activate. That's what it's all about.
Like I told you, I said, hey, it's cold outside, okay?
Mm-hmm. It is cold out. Man, and it feels great though. But I love when it's like sunny and kind of windy, but it's cool. I love that weather.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's say hello. I think a piece of lemon came out of my mouth. Oops. We're live, people. All right. Hello, Dana Fairbanks says, hi, Jaybe Font. Good to see you. CBC voter coming in hot, saying happy Thursday, Jaybe and Sabby Sabs. Oh, by the way, today was Rome's birthday.
Happy birthday, Rome.
Yep. I did a stream earlier. He's doing his mutual aid as well today. We have Crom coming in, Sabby Sabs and Jaybe. All right. And look, here comes our Rockfin Roger coming in saying the Lumberjack twins are back in black. Yeah, I've been black for 40 years, baby. I ain't gonna be another color. Jacqueline coming in and say, hey, Jaybe and Sabby. Hey, everyone. Matt John says, oh, I got on at the beginning. Hey, Rad fam. I don't know. It's just like you have two first names. So I was just like, I don't know. It's okay. Crom says Jacqueline. Leroy says, good day, my peeps. Good to see you, Leroy. Bam. It's laughing emojis. Good to see you. All right. And let me check to see if we have any Rockfin. We're good on Rockfin, and we are good on Rumble. All right. Good to see all of you here. What are we going to be talking about today? Let's get into it, okay? Because I want to make sure that we get this done. We're going to be talking about Inventors. Inventors improved our lives. We're going to be talking about particularly Black inventors. And one of the things I want to do is I want to juxtapose that to capitalism and, how we have did what we did despite the perils of capitalism. And so I want to get into that especially. So there's 7 Black American inventors that you should know about. I also have an honorable mention. Should I start off with the honorable mention, Sabs?
So usually when I watch like those best of videos on YouTube, they usually save that one right before the top one. So second to last.
Okay, so I'll do that. All right. So we're going to start off because I have a few, and this is in no particular order. So it's not from best to first, nothing like that. But I just want to start off with, I'm going to start off with a woman. So I want to do ladies first. Okay. This was a Black woman who actually did something that was quite profound. So when you think of brakes, ADT, you think of the Ring doorbell. What do you think of? You think of security, right? Security systems. Well, did you know that it was invented by a Black woman? Black woman invented the security system. So whenever you are trying to keep your house safe, you know who to think of. So let's get into this. Marie Van Brittan Brown. So this is from 1922 to 1999. This is her security system that she patented. Right? Okay. It says Marie Van Brittan Brown was the inventor of the first home security system. She also credited with the invention of the first closed circuit television. So CCTV. Born in Queens, New York on October 22nd, 1922. That's a lot of 22s, man. She resided there until her death on February 2nd, 1999 at age 76. Her father was born in Massachusetts and her mother was from Pennsylvania. So the patent for the invention was filed in 1966 and later it influenced the modern home security systems that are still used today. Brown's inventions were inspired by a security risk at her home faced in the neighborhood where she lived. Marie Brown worked as a nurse and her husband, Albert Brown, worked as an electronics technician. Their work hours were not standard 9 to 5. And then the crime rate in Queens, New York City neighborhood was very high. Even when the police were contacted at the event of an emergency, the response time tended to be slow. As a result, Brown looked for ways to increase her level of personal security. She needed to create a system that would allow her to know who was at her home and contact relevant authorities as quickly as possible. This was born out of a class issue.
Yep.
See, this is the part about RBN. This is why, you got to support independent media, because a lot of people will not talk about this. This was born out of a class issue. One, because the police were slow. Why were the police slow?
I mean, they usually are in those types of neighborhoods. Like police respond quickly the higher your income. So if you live in a upper middle class or a wealthy neighborhood, they respond a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so now you look at it. Now, average people, working people like yourself and me, Sabs, people that are in the chat, we all could actually have security systems now so that we are more secure in our homes. And then how many times when police acted the fool and the security cameras caught the police acting the fool and that was used in court? So Marie Van Brittan Brown is the woman you need to thank for security systems, because without her, a lot of us, especially nowadays, like what happens, in these homes, we wouldn't know, right?
And a lot of people, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people have like either the ADT alarm system, right? Or you can see the little sign or the sticker on the door says protected by ADT. A lot of people either have that or they have the Ring doorbell, like you were saying, or there's like other versions, like there's like generic versions of like the Ring that you can get as well installed. So a lot of people have some type of home like security system or something like that. And I mean, it's at the end of the day, again, it's like, look who came up with that. Like, look who came up with that idea. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of that.
Absolutely. And so, let's take a look at it again. This was her original invention. And that's what we have now today.
Yep.
Yeah. And, just think about it, because of the class issue, because of the slowness of the police, because police protect property rather than people, then she made this invention. And so here's the thing. One of the running themes I want to make, clear is that this was in spite of capitalism. It wasn't because of capitalism. She didn't make this because she wanted to make money. She made it because she wants to be safe, because the system does not deem keeping people like her safe as profitable. So therefore, she had to make contingency measures in order to do that. Yep. And my question is to all the people who now have security systems, Brinks, ADT, Ring, did they ever give her and her family money for her invention?
Probably not. And a lot of times people will sell off the rights to it or whatever. Or you take your invention to another company because you're like, hey, I invented this and I want to, sell it. You take your invention to another company, and sometimes what will happen is, okay, we'll give you $800,000 or whatever, but you don't own the rights to it anymore. That's happened a couple of times, like to people. And it's like, okay, well, do I sell them my invention or do I keep trying somewhere else? Because the reality is, once you give up the rights to it, I mean, the pay that they give you, that's pretty much all you get. Unless it's in the contract somewhere that says that you're also still going to make some type of percentage off of the sales.
Yep, absolutely. So, you ready to go to the next one, Sabs?
Yep.
All right. Do you know who Eglin is?
Not familiar with Ellen.
You use one of her inventions at least probably once a week. Oh, you're wondering who? Let's get into it. Yeah. So Eglin was the inventor of the first washing machine.
I'm doing laundry right now.
So y'all need to realize that you all have clean clothes fast because of a black woman. This is another class issue. It says in the late 1800s, Eglin revolutionized the chore of laundry with the invention of the clothes wringer, and in the process made her mark on African American and women's history. Born in 1849. Remember, guys, this is during slavery in Washington, D.C. Little is known about England's early life. As a young adult, she worked as a clerk in the local census office and also spent time as a domestic. As a housekeeper, Eglin passed many hours engaged in back-breaking laundry work. The task of scrubbing clothes by hand on a washboard, then wringing them out of the water, eventually sparked England's desire to improve the laundry process. Her idea for the clothes wringer was born. So, this is in spite of capitalism. It says in 1888, England completed her groundbreaking device. The clothes wringer was a device that had two wooden rollers attached to a crank. After being washed and rinsed, wet clothes were fed between those rollers and excess water was squeezed out. The clothes were then hung to dry, a process which took significantly less time thanks to the wringer. Although the design was hugely popular well into the 20th century, England received almost no credit and none of the financial success for her own invention.
See what we were just saying?
Yep. Let's read this last paragraph too. It says, at a time where few female inventors could claim the rights to their inventions, England's race further complicated her success. In an interview with the 1891 magazine that highlighted female inventors, England said, "You know I'm black, and if it was known that a Negro woman patented the invention, white ladies would not buy the ringer." England's knowledge that racial bias would prevent the ringer's success caused her to sell the design to an unknown white agent for only $18. By 1900, England's invention found a home with the American Ringer Company. This company grew rich from profits earned from England's invention. So when you think of Amana, Whirlpool, Samsung, what's it called? It starts with an M. Maytag, all these different types of appliances, right? GE, all these washers that have been built since. And it's all based on what a black woman did. And she only got $18 for the patent. And she did it because she was being exploited for her labor. And she decided to change something in order to make her labor easier, in spite of capitalism. Sabs?
And she didn't really get to make the profit off of it that she should have, you know. And again, you know, especially back then, a lot of times people just didn't know. And then, or there's also that fear that you could pass up that opportunity and you may not receive another one, especially during that time, right? So this has a lot to do with it. And some of this kind of reminds me of Henrietta Lacks too, like how she didn't get the credit, you know, they used her cells and then she didn't get anything from, like, her family had to fight, you know, for that. And again, I think it's just, that's another form of exploitation, like taking someone's invention and not giving them the proper funding for it, for the patent. But I mean, where would we be without a washing machine?
You know, I mean, I got laundry I got to fold, but thanks to her, you know, that laundry got done. You know, I just got to dry it. That's about it. I mean, it's dry. I just got to fold it. But outside of that, you know, it was done out of a necessity in spite of capitalism. It wasn't because she was trying to get rich, because she was trying to get rich. She only made $18. It's crazy, right? So, you know, and the crazy part was she said that she knew that white women wouldn't buy it if they knew it was invented by a black woman.
Right. But especially at that time.
Wow. So this is why, you know, when we talk about class and race, linked. You got to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to a gentleman, shall we? Let's go to, I want to go to Jerry Lawson. Let's go to Jerry Lawson. This is a good one. All right. So I want anybody that is into gaming to thank a black man. Thank him. Because this guy literally helped revolutionize gaming as we know it. This is Jerry Lawson. Gerald Anderson Jerry Lawson, the father of modern gaming. Says Jerry Lawson is sometimes called the father of modern gaming for creating the first video game console to use removable cartridges, the Fairchild Channel F. In recent years, he has gained increased recognition for his foundational role in the development of modern video game industry. He has a permanent display in the World Video Game Hall of Fame and was recognized by the International Game Developers Association shortly before his death. After posthumously awarding Lawson the ID at Xbox Gaming Heroes Award at the Game Developers Choice Award, IGDA established the Jerry A. Lawson Award for Achievement in Game Development, which recognizes the accomplishments of underrepresented minorities in the game development industry. The Gerald A. Lawson Academy of the Arts, Mathematics, and Science, a public school in Los Angeles, and the Gerald A. Lawson Endowment Fund for Black and Indigenous Students at the University of Southern California, established in 2021 to fund the training of more Black and Indigenous game developers, have also been named in his honor. Born in 1940, Lawson grew up in a federal housing project in Queens, New York. Passionate teenager about engineering, Lawson repaired televisions and constructed radio transmitters in his spare time. He attended Queens College and City College of New York, but left before graduating to work in tech. So, here's how I'm going to link it to class. How many schools right now in hoods and hollers that are funded by property taxes that are underfunded, full of young Jerry Lawsons right now? If we would just fund education, higher education, and vocational school the way we fund elementary, middle, and high school, and just make it across the board, even as far as funding goes, without it being tied to property tax, imagine how much more innovation we will get out of these kids, because we're literally underusing kids simply because of their skin color. You ever think about it that way? We're underutilizing the minds that can literally transform this country into something better, and we don't do it because we want them to pick themselves up by their bootstraps.
That's true. To be honest with you, I didn't even hear about him until last year.
Wow.
There was a documentary, a docu-series on Netflix about video games, and it started from the very beginning, and it kind of just went through all the years of how the gaming industry became what it is today. So it starts all the way back with like Pong and Atari, and goes all the way up to like the RPGs today. And he's in that docu-series. I forget the name of it. I'll look it up and let you know. But it was really good. It was like 10 episodes all about like the history of video games. And then he's featured, and I'm like, whoa. So I never knew until last year. Yeah.
And this is also a great point by Wadi. He said this was important as it allowed third-party game developers to thrive, right? He also says he was pivotal in the use of cartridges for gaming consoles, as well as proving that games could be made for consoles by third parties like Activision merely by using software. Yeah. And so, everybody remember the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. You have Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. You got Jerry Lawson to thank for all that. Remember, we used to have to blow into the cartridge just to make it work. But, when you think of the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the N64 still used cartridges. So that was the basis. And then we switched to CDs, right? But it was Jerry Lawson that started that. Think about your Game Boys, right? All your Game Boys that still had the cartridges that slip in. Yeah, all that. Cool, huh?
I was just gonna say, and those Nintendo, the old school Nintendo had a resurgence, by the way.
Girl, don't you make me do it. Don't you make me do it. Oh my God.
That's become popular again. Is the old school Nintendo is back again. There you go.
Yeah, boy.
And I don't even know if we ever found this out for sure, if blowing in the cartridges actually did help the gameplay better, but it seemed like it worked.
I mean, we had to do something.
All you gamers out there, you got to know about this one.
Yep, put some respect on his name. All right, so let's go to since we're on the subject of computers, let's go to Mark Dean. Okay, because we have to thank this black man for something that we're using right now. Let's get into it. So Mark Dean, I want to get into him and what he did. This is a black man that has done something quite pivotal. So Mark Dean is a computer scientist and engineer. He's credited with helping develop a number of landmark technologies, including the color PC monitor, the industry standard architecture system bus, and the first gigahertz chip. So this is him. Okay. So technologies for IBM, including the color PC monitor, which is what all of us are using, right? And the first gigahertz chip. He holds 3 of the company's original 9 patents. He also invented the industry standard architecture system bus with engineer Dennis Moeller, allowing for computer plugins as disk drives and printers. Black man. So he said he was born in March 2nd of 1957 in Jefferson City, Tennessee. Dean is credited with helping to launch the personal computer age with work that made the machines more accessible and powerful. From an early age, Dean showed a love for building things. As a young boy, Dean constructed a tractor from scratch with the help of his father, a supervisor at the Tennessee Valley Authority. Hang on. The Tennessee Valley Authority. That sounds familiar, doesn't it, Sabs? The Tennessee Valley Authority is basically the utility company for Tennessee that is community owned.
So it's a co-op.
Says Dean also excelled in many different areas, standing out as a gifted athlete and an extremely smart student who graduated with straight A's from Jefferson City High School. In 1979, he graduated at the top of his class at the University of Tennessee, where he studied engineering. And so it says not long after college, Dean landed a job at IBM, a company where he would become associated with the duration for his career. As an engineer, Dean proved to be a rising star in the company. Worked closely with a colleague, Dennis Moeller. Dean developed the new industry standard architecture bus system, a new system that allowed peripheral devices like disk drives, printers, and monitors to be plugged directly into computers. The end result was more efficiency and better integration. Wow. And then he helped create the first gigahertz chip, a revolutionary piece of technology that is able to do 1 billion calculations in a second.
And a lot of people don't know about him. I think I talked about him. Yeah, Mark Dean. I think I talked about him a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the topic was, but I remember talking about Mark Dean and like people should know about this. But a lot of people in the chat seemed like they weren't aware. And it's just because we're not taught, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is like everybody, and a lot of times people will think about, all we're known for is our contributions to music, our contributions to, entertainment, right? And sports, right?
Yeah.
And we are much more multifaceted than that. And it's quite interesting how, a lot of these things that we have created was in spite of capitalism, not because of it.
Right.
It wasn't that we were trying to build something to make a whole lot more money. It was because we were being exploited and we wanted a way to make that exploitation easier so that we won't be exploited as hard.
Right. That's right. Whereas some people do set out to invent something because they're trying to get rich or they want to make a lot of money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let's go to another woman. Let's go to Patricia Bath. Ready for that one, Sabs?
Yeah.
Do you know who that one is?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. People, by the way, go ahead and comment, and I'm sorry, take the poll in the chat. I actually would like to know, like, who did you guys know? Like, how many did you guys know about on this list? Some people know, a couple. Some people know all. Some people may know one or two. But I wanted to go into that one and see. Here we go. Patricia Bath. Okay. She's still alive today. I'm sorry. She died in 2019. Okay. So her achievement is Dr. Patricia Bath discovered and invented a new device and technique for cataract surgery known as laser phaco. So that was in 1986. In 1983, Dr. Bath was the first woman to chair an ophthalmology residency program at the United States. And in 1974, Dr. Bath was the first woman ophthalmologist to be appointed to the faculty of the University of California, Los Angeles School of Medicine, Jules Stein Eye Institute. So it says Dr. Patricia E. Bath, an ophthalmologist and laser scientist, was an innovative research scientist and advocated for blindness prevention, treatment, and cure. Her accomplishments included the invention of a new device and technique for cataract surgery known as laser phaco, a creation of the new discipline known as community ophthalmology, and appointment as the first woman chair of the ophthalmology in the United States at Drew UCLA in 1983. Patricia Bath's dedication to life and medicine began in childhood, when she first heard about Dr. Albert Schweitzer's service to lepers in Congo. After excelling in her studies in high school and university and earning awards for scientific research as early 16, Dr. Bath embarked on her career in medicine. She received her medical degree from Howard and University of College of Medicine, interned at Harlem Hospital from 68 to 69, and completed a fellowship at Ophthalmology Columbia University from 1969 to 1970. Following her internship, Dr. Bath completed her training in New York University between 1970 and 1973, where she was the first African-American resident in ophthalmology. Dr. Bath married and had a daughter in 1972, while her mother became her priority. Motherhood became her priority. She also managed to complete fellowship in corneal transplantation and keratoprothesis, replacing the human cornea with an artificial one. So, brilliant woman, brilliant doctor. And this was huge because how many people get LASIK and cataract, treatments every single year?
Yep.
And all because of a Black woman, helping people regain or improve their sight.
Oh, I know quite a bit of people that had laser just because glasses and contacts wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
So,
but here's the thing about capitalism, because unless it could actually be used in order to extract resources or for profit, then they won't do it. And so a lot of times they won't innovate unless they know that they can do it. So you have somebody who comes up with these ideas, and a lot of times they come up with these ideas while in school at public institutions. And then the corporations will take the idea and then they will basically just make money off of it. They didn't innovate anything because they would probably be just fine just giving people glasses and making money off of that. But instead, what does she do? She's literally contributing to a cure for something that they could possibly continue to make money off of for treating.
yep. I mean, and I'm just thinking about like all the people, because I'm lucky I've never had to wear glasses, but I mean it's more common than uncommon nowadays that people are wearing glasses. I mean, my dad has to wear glasses now. My sister wears glasses. My mom wore glasses. Like a lot of people in my family wore glasses, and glasses aren't cheap. So, and I'm thinking about, and then over time, like, it's not like you have the same pair of glasses for the rest of your life. I know like my mom has had to switch out glasses. Same thing with my sister, and the prescription is in the glasses. So I'm just wondering, when you add up the amount over the years, is it actually coming out about even if you were to get laser, or would it be cheaper?
I don't know, but it might end up being cheaper, because then because if it's cured, then you're not getting glasses anymore. So let's say you're 30 years old and you're on your second prescription, right? And let's say that prescription, I'm just throwing out a number in there because I haven't went to see the eye doctor in years. But let's say the prescription is $7,000 in total for those two prescriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead you go to get LASIK. Maybe the LASIK is around $10,000, but you probably would have had to get 4 more prescriptions before, you get to end of life. So you might end up spending more than double that in that time, but instead you actually end up curing your LASIK instead by your eyes by getting LASIK. So then that actually took that money out of the industry. So then, so you end up actually faring better, but the industry doesn't fare better because, well, they lost the customer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering, because so my friend that had LASIK, she said her insurance, she has good insurance, but her insurance paid for most of it. So that's why I'm wondering, like, if you do have the insurance that's going to cover, would you be better off just getting that instead of paying for glasses all the time?
Leroy says, "Yep, cheaper far from me. I spent so much between glasses and contacts. I only wear reading glasses because they help with my migraines."
Oh, okay.
He said LASIK is way cheaper these days. I paid $3,200 and was able to finance great self-investment.
Interesting. So it's not as expensive as I thought it was. I thought it was even more than that.
Me too.
Okay, that makes you wonder. I'm wondering if maybe you probably would be better off just going that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then the companies that make glasses won't make money or contacts.
But, okay, somebody said this to me a while back, and this makes sense. How many people in the United States wear glasses?
A lot.
I'm willing to say probably about a good 35 to 40% at the very least, right? That's millions of Americans, tens of millions of Americans that literally have a visual prosthetic. Think about it. Eyeglasses are just a prosthetic for your eyes.
And I don't think Medicare covers your vision, because wasn't that one of the things that Bernie wanted to add, was vision and hearing? Yeah,
you need, because vision and dental are pretty much two different insurances.
That's
so yeah. So the issue with that is that, number one, we don't cover vision as a part of our own bodies, which is crazy. But yeah, as far as vision is concerned, like, if it weren't for these industries wanting to keep the revenue from eyeglasses going, then would we probably have something develop even further than LASIK now?
That's what I'm saying. Because I mean, if you think about it, and it is crazy, like you just said, that vision isn't just automatically covered under health insurance, because if you can't see, I mean, you're going to have difficulty working. You're going to have difficulty doing pretty much anything. So you would think your eyesight would be a necessity. It's crazy when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. It should be, but because it's not as profitable to cure it, they want to make more money off of it.
That's crazy.
This is why they're not so quick to cure diabetes. So here's another Black inventor doing things in spite of capitalism, not because of it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to, let me see, who else? Let's go to Garrett Morgan. I think you wanted me to cover this one too.
Yes.
So, Garrett Morgan, who is he and what did he do? All right. So,
one of my faves.
One of your faves? All right. Garrett Morgan. Sabby's got a fave. Okay, it says Garrett Morgan was blazed a trail for Black inventors with his patents, including those for an improved traffic light and breathing device that preceded the World War I gas mask. Uh-oh. All right. It says a prolific inventor who called himself the Black Edison. Garrett Morgan created early versions of the traffic light and gas mask. He began his career as a sewing machine mechanic before patenting the improved sewing machine design and a hair straightening product, among other inventions. His breathing device, known as a safety hood, later provided the blueprint for World War I gas masks. In 1923, Morgan invented a safer traffic light. The notable Black inventor who lived much of his life in Ohio and died in July 1963 at 86. So, go ahead.
I mean, this one is one of my favorites because where would we be without the traffic light? Where would we be without a stoplight? Where would we, like just imagine the chaos that you would have if you didn't have green, yellow, and red. Like it's important. And this is another one a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know about him. And I think it's because I know even when I was in school, Jaybe, when we learned about different inventors, they never mentioned this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's some of the stuff you have to look up on your own, guys. Because I feel like it's always the same people that are mentioned, George Carver, who invented the peanuts? It's the same people over and over that are mentioned in schools. And we're trying to show you people today that you may not have been aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's continue in this because this was very fascinating, his history. So he was born in Kentucky, in Paris, Kentucky, in March 4th of 1877. Garrett Augustus Morgan was the seventh of 11 children. His mother, Elizabeth Reed, was of Indian and African descent and the daughter of a Baptist minister. His father, Sidney, a former enslaved man freed in 1863, was a son of John Hunt Morgan, a Confederate colonel. Morgan's mixed race heritage would play part of his business dealings as an adult. When Morgan was in his mid-teens, he moved to Cincinnati to look for work and found it as a handyman to a wealthy landowner. Although he only completed elementary school education, Morgan paid for more lessons from a private tutor. Jobs at several sewing machine factories soon captured his imagination and helped determine his future. So, early gas masks, things like that, I want to get to that. So the safety hood, it says in 1914, Morgan patented the breathing device or safety hood, providing his wearers with safer breathing experience in the presence of smoke, gases, and other pollutants. Morgan worked hard to market the device, especially to fire departments, often personally demonstrating its reliability in fires. Morgan's breathing device became a prototype and precursor for the gas mask used in World War I, protecting soldiers from toxic gas used in warfare. The invention earned him first prize at the Second International Exposition of Safety and Sanitation in New York City. It says there was some resistance to Morgan's device among buyers, particularly in the South, where racial tension remained palatable despite advancements in civil rights for Black Americans. In an effort to counteract the resistance to his products, Morgan hired a white actor to pose as the inventor during presentations of his breathing device. So here we have another point of race and class mixing together. Because if it was only about class, then people wouldn't give a damn about his race and they would have bought it anyway because they saw it was a good invention. But because it was made by a black man, they said, no, we don't want it.
Yep. There you go.
It says Morgan then posed as the inventor's sidekick, disguised as a Native American man named Big Chief Mason. Wearing his hood, Morgan entered the areas otherwise unsafe for breathing. The tactic was successful. Sales of the device were quick to materialize, especially from firefighters and rescue workers. And so when you think about the firefighters right now, including the ones that are incarcerated, that are fighting the fires in California right now, they all have to thank this gentleman.
Mm-hmm. And again, the fact that he had to have somebody else, you know, he had to have somebody else like be the face of it just to get this done.
And then the traffic light. It says the voracious inventor didn't stop with his early gas mask design. His penchant for fixing problems turned his attention to all kinds of things, from hats to belt fasteners to car parts. The first black man in Cleveland to own a car. Wow. First black man in Cleveland to own a car. Morgan worked on his mechanical skills to develop a friction drive clutch. Then in 1923, he created a new kind of traffic signal, one with a warning light to alert drivers that they would need to stop. He invented the device after witnessing a carriage accident at a particularly problematic intersection in Cleveland. Morgan quickly acquired patents for his traffic signal, a rudimentary version of the modern three-way traffic light in the United States, Britain, and Canada, but eventually sold the rights to General Electric for $40,000.
And only $40,000, which he should have received a lot more than that. But again, that's the thing I was saying about like selling it. Sometimes you don't get to own the rights to it anymore. Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah. And I actually am curious. So it says $40,000 in 1920 is equivalent to a purchasing power of $631,210 today. It says the dollar had an average inflation rate of 2.66 per year between 1920 and today, producing a cumulative price of 1,478%. So a little over $500,000. And how many traffic lights are used in the United States? By how many municipalities? Like, he should have billions just from this invention.
And I mean, just think about if he was like, I know we were talking about the Sackler family before, right? Just think about if he was a member of the Sackler family and he had this invention. You think they would have just given him $40,000? No. Because they go all the way back. So.
Nope. And then. Are we almost to our last one? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So I want to do my honorable mention first before we get to our last one. So this honorable mention was something that, Sabs, if you remember, I was taken aback. I was perplexed. I was aghast. I was shooketh when I found this out. Because I was like, wait. That's not invented this? For real? I thought white people invented this. And so, ranch dressing. I thought white people invented it. I legit thought white people invented ranch dressing.
I think I always assumed that too, but.
Me too.
I know.
Well, I kind of like it too, but I'm like that. You can't get more America than ranch dressing.
I know.
I just let's go to it, y'all. This is my honorable mention. Let's go to this. This is crazy. Oh my goodness.
But it's true.
Wait. Oh, hang on. No. I want to go. That's the wrong one. I saw this. I was like, damn, really? Where is it? I have it over here. Oh, here it is. There we go. Ranch dressing recipe invented by Black rancher Steve Henson. All right. So let's get into this. So this is Steve Henson. I don't know if y'all can see, but let me enlarge. That's him, Black man. And it says Henson, who was born in 1918 and he died in 2007, created ranch dressing to complement the dishes he was serving to his work crews while working as a plumber in Alaska. Upon retirement, Henson and his wife, Gail, bought a large 120-acre Sweetwater ranch in Santa Barbara, California in 1954. They soon changed the name to Hidden Valley Ranch. Henson brought his recipe, now called ranch dressing, to California. He was served a tangy blend for guests visiting the ranch. They loved it and often requested bottles to take home. He introduced the recipe to some local businesses near his farm, and it literally flew off the shelves. Soon, Henson sent packages of the dressing around the country, launching a thriving mail order business. Thus, Hidden Valley Ranch dressing was born. The original seasoning packet required customers to add buttermilk and mayonnaise. In a way, it's amazing that ranch dressing even took off the first place. Steve Henson's meal order seasoning packet business required customers to have buttermilk and mayonnaise in the fridge ready to go. Popularity of ranch dressing has continued to rise over the years. In 1972, Henson sold the business to Clorox for $8 million. Clorox expanded the recipe into several new flavors. The dressing is used in many ways, from fast food to fine dining. Henson died in 2007 in Reno, Nevada. He was 89 years old. Ranch.
So when you told me about this, the first thing I thought about was that clip from that woman. Remember when the 2020 presidential election, and do you remember that video that went viral? It was Kristen Gillibrand, and she was campaigning at that time in Iowa, and she was at a restaurant talking to voters, and a woman walked by. She walked by and said, "Excuse me, I'm trying to get some ranch." And she didn't say hi to Kirsten Gillibrand or nothing. She was like, "Excuse me, I'm trying to get some ranch."
America.
That's what I thought about when you told me about the ranch thing. I was like, "Oh my God."
Oh my Lord. And you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I can get down on some buttermilk ranch.
Every now and then, bud. Every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. Now, let's go to our final one. Are you guys ready to go to the final one? All right. Before you do that, go ahead and give a like to the stream. This helps us out very much. We appreciate it all. Okay. And it also helps us if you also share and subscribe to the channel. Final one. All right. So the final one we're going to do is of a woman. And I would like to say that many of us are using her invention as we speak because it's cold outside. All right, let's go. Let's go to Alice Parker. Alice H. Parker. All right. This woman right here. Let's read what she made. Alice H. Parker was an African-American inventor famous for her patented system of central heating using natural gas. In the 1920s, using natural gas to power a heating furnace was a revolutionary idea that conserved energy and paved the way for central heating systems we all have in our homes today. Parker's patent was filed on December 23rd, 1919 for her heating system invention. Her design allowed cool air to be drawn into the furnace, then conveyed through heat exchanger that delivered warm air through ducts to individual rooms of a house. The concept of central heating was around before Parker was born, but her design was unique because it used natural gas as its fuel instead of coal or wood that had been previously used. Parker is said to have been inspired for her design because she felt her fireplace was not effective enough in warming her home through the cold New Jersey winters. Her invention was convenient because it meant that people did not have to go outside and chop or buy wood. It also decreased the risk of house or building fires that heating units pose by eliminating the need to have a burning fireplace on throughout the night. Although her initial designs were never used, her idea that natural gas and ducts could be used to heat different areas of a house was a major step towards heating systems used today.
Can you believe it? That's a big one too.
Mm-hmm.
We have heat.
Yep.
Because of her.
So many of y'all are warm in your house right now watching this because of a Black woman.
Mm-hmm. But see, you don't hear this a lot, even like on corporate media, talk shows. Like you just don't hear these people like are mentioned. Like it's always the people they want you to know about are, to JB's points, the athletes, the entertainers. They want you to know about those people. They want you to know about Arthur Ashe, right? They want you to know about who's the guy we mentioned earlier? Oh, like George Carver. Like they want you to know about those people, but they don't want you to know like who invented the heating system.
Yeah. Or who invented the portable refrigeration system that allows us to transport cold foods to different areas so that we could actually have cold food ready and available for us wherever we go to the grocery store.
Yep.
You know, so there's a lot of people, you know, for us to thank that are Black. And the thing is like with this woman, Alice H. Parker, you got to remember, she did this not because of capitalism, but because of heating and cooling the home.
Yep. Because it was something, it was a necessity, you know, something that she needed at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, it's just crazy because a lot of times people will think, well, this is innovation because of capitalism. No, it's innovation because capitalism stifles it. Because if capitalism cannot make a profit off of it immediately, they're not going to innovate. Because innovation means that research and development have to go. That's money that has to be spent in order for that to happen, which means trial and error happens, which means that that's money that they're not making. So therefore, this is why they always put it on the public institutions like public colleges and universities in order to research and develop. And then they take the patents and then they start to sell it to the public. And then they typically don't really give much money to the people who invented it. It's just like the person who created insulin. I think he sold it for $1. And so because of that, we now have insulin, but all because they change the patent just slightly every single year, they're able to keep the patent. And then they charge hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars just for something that was supposed to be given to us without cost.
Yep.
And the ability to keep a house warm should be a human right. So her invention should be a human right. And I'm pretty sure somebody like her would think, you know what? Humans deserve to keep warm during cold winters or when it's cool outside. But yet, what do? I just did a story a few days ago about a black man in Louisiana that died. He froze to death in Alexandria.
Because of no heat. This is why it was years ago they made a rule in Maryland that the state could not turn off the heat during the winter because there were elderly people that were living or relying on their Social Security payment. You know, it's a fixed income to pay their bills, and the heating bills, you know, can get high in the winter. So what they would do is turn it off because they couldn't afford it, and people were dying. So that's why it's like that in Maryland. But you can't. And I just think, honestly, I think it's illegal to not provide heat for people. I think it should be. But I mean, it's a necessity. Like, you need that. People can make the argument, I think, about air conditioning depending on where you live. You can live up here. I lived in Boston with no AC before, right? It's still tough, like, but not as tough as it would be in Florida, right? Like, does that make sense? Like, so I guess you can kind of make the argument a little bit about air conditioning, but with heat, like, I mean, you need heating.
I'd say it's both, because I mean, it was 47 yesterday morning, 47 degrees. And so you need both, because then when it gets to, you know, even though it may get to 85, between 85 and 90 in the spring here, it's still a humid 85 to 90.
That's right. That humidity is no joke. You're right about that.
Yeah.
But I'm even surprised it was 45 degrees in Florida.
Oh, it went down to 37 last week.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So it was cold everywhere then last week, because it was brutally cold here last week, and the air was very, very dry. Yeah.
See, the thing is, our air doesn't get as dry, but it still does get down that low. Like,
wow.
We'll still have like what's it called? The cold index, or it's similar to the heat index, but it's cold. The chill factor, I guess it is. But it was like it felt like it was below freezing, but it was around 37. But yeah, that's how cold that's how it can get cold here. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean 40s and 30s I consider nice. If it's like 40 degrees, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be pretty nice. But it was in the teens last week. It was brutal.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Wind chill. Yeah, the wind chill factor. You know, and yeah, Christian says it was down to the 40s here in Miami. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's wild.
Mm-hmm. No bikinis there. And so with that, you know, I mean, a lot of times we talk about one of the things is that you got to think that a lot of these inventions were made because of, out of, us being exploited, or it wasn't made because capitalists wanted to innovate. It's because capitalists refused to innovate, and we did it ourselves so that we could actually improve our lives. This is why I said that improving workers' lives, because how many of you would be able to work as well without a color computer monitor, or without a washing machine, or without a closed circuit TV so that you could have security in your homes, right? Or having, better eye vision, or being able to have leisure time and be able to play a video game and switch out the cartridges when you need to, instead of switching between consoles. you know, or stoplights. So many different things that helped improve our lives as people. And it was not because of capitalism, but it was because in spite of it. So
that's the big part there. The in spite of it part. That's the big difference.
Mm-hmm. How many of these did you know about, Sabs?
Can you put it back up there for just a second?
All right, let me put it back up.
Or I'd say maybe 1, 2, 3, 4.
You knew about 4 of them?
Yeah. The video gamer dude, traffic light, Mark up there in the top left corner, and the other woman, the washing machine.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So that's 4.
So you knew about 4 out of them all. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So I knew let me see. I knew of 1, 2, 3. I think I knew of 3 out of. I think I knew 3 of them. But yeah, I learned more. Definitely. Let me go to. Let me see if I can do. Wait, what happened to the poll? I had everybody. Huh?
Is it gone? Did it? It happens sometimes.
Yeah, I had a poll up here. What in the world? That's not fair.
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
I got it.
You find it? Okay, because it's done that to me before too.
Yeah, I went on my profile instead of RBN's, but it's up here on the RBN profile. Okay, so let me share the. If you guys haven't taken the poll, take the poll. I want to see how many people actually knew about all of them. So out of 57 votes, it says, how many of these inventors did you know about? 1 to 3, 33% said between 1 and 3, 28% between 3 and 6, 9% said all of them. Which one of you said all of them? I want to know who. And then 30% said none at all.
I wonder who knew all of them too.
Yeah, like who's this knowledgeable person that's in our chat?
Maybe Roger. Roger probably knew all of them because he's, he follows this stuff, but that is 9%. So it's more people that that knew all of them.
Roger. He said, yes, Sabby, I turn you on to Dr. Mark Dean for 2023 Black History Month. Jaybe, I couldn't get her to do Black History Month 2024. Jaybe, you need to shame her.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not mentioning the same people over and over again every year. I mean, the videos are there. Can't do everything. Good grief. I don't like repeats. So I'm not going to mention the same people every year over and over again.
Yeah. And there's others that we can do. And there's more people that are inventing stuff even now, down to this day. All right. So let's get to the comments in the chat. And let me check to see if we have any Rumble rants. I'm going to check there first, and then we'll check on the Rockfin side. Oh, yep, we definitely have a Rumble rant. Okie dokie, let's get into it. Hang on, let me just, there we go. All right. Here we go. Thank you to R. Dean W. says, for the Rumble rant, says public utilities and services should never be in a for-profit system. We should have these utilities socialized so we can get the best product and pay the workers better than what they get now. Absolutely. Thank you so very much for the Rumble rant, R. Dean W. Appreciate it. Yeah, and plus, I'm gonna be honest with you. If we were to not have to make profits for the utilities, then that money would actually go to the workers instead, and we wouldn't have to pay as much as well.
Right.
And Just Trash says Mehdi Hassan just said where I disagree with my fellow leftists live on the same real news network that fired Chris Hedges. Oh my Lord, are you kidding?
Like, honestly, it's very obvious, like, what his goal is at this point, right? It's very obvious. Like, I mean, listen, the gentleman who was killed in Gaza, Rafat Al-Arir,
Mm-hmm.
he tried to tell people, you know, who Mehdi was and all that kind of stuff. Like, these people, you know, you can't give them too much attention because they're paid to do what they're doing. And that's what they want. They want the attention.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Christian says, let's keep it real, y'all. What's been good for Black America has always been good for all of America. Black power and Black is beautiful, y'all.
Yep. And that's what do we say, right, Jaybe?
Mm-hmm. This actually goes into if we invented these things and it ended up helping everybody as a result. Now, apply reparations to that. Just think about it. Because it would definitely help everybody if reparations were actually paid to freedmen. Old Crow says, I learn or am introduced to so many hidden history listening to RBN. Thank you very much, Old Crow. All right.
Always like when people say they're learning things from us, you know?
Yeah. It definitely is. It's a win behind my back, you know? All right. James Starks coming in with the super sticker. Thank you so very much. All right. Jalen says they forgot about fine artists too. Yeah, there's a lot of Black people in fine arts.
That's true.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many dancers I've seen. And a lot of them were featured on like PBS. They were featured on like Reading Rainbow, and they were featured in Sesame Street and stuff like that, like when growing up. And that's the crazy part. Like, I didn't know until a few years ago that Sesame Street was made for Black and brown kids.
Yes. Yep.
So
that's true.
Big Bird, Elmo, Snuffleupagus, you know, Cookie Monster. They created all that for Black and brown kids because we weren't getting the education that we needed, because they wanted to keep the higher education, not the higher education, but the more quality education in more white neighborhoods instead. And so in order to get it to us and to filter it to us in a more en masse, they created Sesame Street and gave that to us, especially those of us who are Black and brown who didn't have the access, early access to early education like we should have. So think about that too. That's another class issue too. And let me see if there's any other. Oh, Roger said I had LASIK for $2,424 years ago today. Wow.
So only $2,400, and not saying that that's, you know, cheap, but it's cheaper than what I thought it would have cost because it's like a permanent fix. So I always thought it was like at least $5,000. So LASIK is cheaper than braces.
That's how much. Wait, braces cost that much?
My sister's braces cost $5,000. I'm dead serious.
This is crazy, man.
My parents had good insurance, so insurance paid a good portion of it. But yeah, it was $5,000 for braces.
Yeah, but how much of that is profit? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I'm for a nationalized healthcare system, because we should not even have to know about the price of braces. Like, and we should have a country where everybody gets dental care, everybody gets all types of health care, and where people are able to just, oh, well, your teeth are misaligned, we're going to give you braces. And then you can say yes or no. If you want to deny it, all right, fine. But if you do want it, all right, we're going to give it to you. And then we give you braces, and then, it just doesn't make any sense why we don't have healthcare that's free at the point of service.
But this is why you shouldn't judge people by their teeth either, because a lot of times people just don't have dental insurance, or they don't have adequate dental insurance. Like I said, the braces for my sister was $5,000. And then even after that, they had to pay for a retainer. Right. So that's another thing that costs, like if they have to put a permanent retainer, like in between your teeth or whatever. So, and that's not always something you can control. I mean, you can't help the way that your teeth grow in.
Yeah.
So see, that's another thing where when people say like, oh, well, if you just take care of your teeth, you don't have to work. No, everybody has to go to the dentist. I mean, look, we get cleanings at the dentist, so that's something else that's really expensive. That's why I said before, like it was a mistake. Well, let me not backtrack, not mistake, because they did this on purpose. They purposefully made it this way so that dental and vision was not a part of healthcare.
Yeah. And you talked about it, how healthcare wasn't made universal because they didn't want Black people to get it.
That's right. Now think about that with dental and with vision. Why are these separated? And
question.
Some employers, and this is another thing I don't think, everybody realizes, some employers don't even offer dental insurance.
No. Yeah. Think about how many people that, their self-esteem, right?
Mm-hmm.
How they do with their teeth. Some people, they're afraid to smile.
I knew people that didn't. Yeah. Like you were saying, like, I know people that when we would take pictures, they would never, like, no, I don't want to smile. I don't want to show my teeth, so that's what I'm saying. Like you never know. I mean, you shouldn't pick on somebody because of their teeth anyway. But I mean, again, a lot of times that's lack of insurance. Like they don't have it. So they can't get it done.
Yeah. Or there's something wrong early on that could be fixed. But because it doesn't get fixed, it gets worse and worse and worse over time. And then they have to get them all removed.
Yeah. And like, that's another thing too. And I hate to stick on the teeth subject, but another thing is like, if you're not taking care of your teeth, there's all different types of bacteria that can accumulate there, et cetera. And that can cause heart problems. Like your teeth is a part of your health. So that's why I never agreed that dental insurance should be a separate thing. That should all be together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. I want to highlight this from Rich. He says, or they say, Shirley Jackson, groundbreaking scientific research in physics led to the inventions of the portable fax, touch tones telephone, solar cells, fiber optic cables, caller ID, and call waiting.
I covered her too. I covered her in 2023. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't know that. And the fiber optic cables, I think those are the same cables that Verizon uses, because Verizon's cables, at least up here in Massachusetts, they're under the ground. Mm-hmm. That's why everybody doesn't have access to Verizon here, because if you're in an area where they can't put the cables under the ground, then you're not going to be eligible to get Verizon. So that's another thing. Like these are all big deal.
And if I remember correctly, a few weeks ago, Roger sent me an article about how now they're able to send massive amounts of information through fiber optic cables. In places like Japan, they discovered how to, they're able to send petabytes of information. Mm-hmm. Not gigabytes, not terabytes, petabytes. Which is, you can send pretty much almost the entirety of, they said you can send the entirety of the Netflix library within seconds.
And see, this is why I wish that all of our cables were underground, because whenever there's a storm, what usually happens, right? So if you have whether it's internet or whatever. I wish all of them were able to put the cables underground, because like if there's a winter storm, a hurricane, whatever, then you don't have to worry about losing that So I don't know. It's just one of those things that wasn't thought about in the beginning when they started to create different cell service. But yeah, just one of those things that I just think about how that's actually a better idea than to have everything above ground.
It's easier to access above ground because you don't have to dig anything up just in case. But at the same time, because it constantly has to be replaced over and over because it's susceptible to the elements, the only problem with that is that it is constantly needing to be serviced.
Right.
Because of the elements. But at the same time, the companies that help make the wires, that make the rubber, that make all the components also get to keep making profits because of these things keep going.
And sometimes we get a notification, because like I have Comcast, so sometimes we get a notification when they're going to perform those services. They've gotten better about it. They didn't always send out a notification that they were doing a service. But that's another thing too. It's kind of when they should do them in the middle of the night when most people are not trying to work. Sometimes they've done them in the middle of the afternoon. So
yeah, and that shouldn't be. Rich continues, says Shirley was the first Black woman to receive a PhD from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
That's right.
Wow. Says Jalen says, in considering the stereotype that Black people are hyper visible in the arts, Black artists account for less than 1% of the major art sales.
Part of that sometimes too has to deal with the contract deals. I mean, think about all the artists that we know that got, kind of ripped off, like TLC, New Edition. Like, remember when that story went viral? That wasn't called viral back then, but when TLC sat down and said that they were bankrupt. Remember that? And we were like, how's that possible? You're like the biggest group in the world right now. But just bad contract deals where basically the artists aren't really making anything. And if you don't know the business side of that, then you can easily overlook those things or not know to have a lawyer to look over the contract. I mean, it's happened to a number of people, but they've done this a lot to Black artists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just for people to know, wait, it was said by Roger, I think it was. Was it Roger? Yeah. So Roger said, yeah, peta meaning quadrillion bits per second. So petabytes is mean quadrillion bits per second, which is crazy. Just wanted to give everybody how big that number is. James Stark says, when I was a cable installer in the 80s, we only did underground cable for gated communities.
See, there you go.
Yep. This is why. And it would actually be a lot better if we actually did it for everybody, but they need poor people to be able to spend more, so then they keep the profits going. Let me go to the Rockfin.
It's the Rock.
Hempcar says, reminds me of KRS-One, You Must Learn. I don't know if this is a song that I can't play it.
Yeah, we can't play that.
Hang on, I'm just looking at it before we share. Is that a commercial? I don't know. That looks like I guess that's looks like a commercial. Oh well. I'll put the link in the chat, Hemcar. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna be able to get done because it's almost 6:30. We got to get going. But thank you very much for that. Sabs, what do you have going on for your show tonight?
I'm just covering 5 news stories tonight, and I'm gonna take Friday night off. I got plans Friday night, so I'm doing 5 stories tonight.
All right, cool. All right. So with that being said, am I busy this Saturday? Oh, I'm going to a mutual aid organization. They're having a zine event, so I'll be going over there that evening, but I'll be doing a reading, and then of course a news stories for RBN on Sunday. So yes, that's what I'll be having. And with that being said, just want to give a shout out to the patrons, because without you guys, we would not be able to do this type of work that we do. And it's because of y'all that we are able to do the work at independent media. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of people who say they're in independent media, but the thing is, they're not very independent. With us here at RBN, we are absolutely 100% independent and funded by you guys. We do not take sponsorships. We do not take money from outside except for you. So the thing is like, this is important because you need somebody that's actually going to speak truth to power without actually having to tailor their message to what corporate powers want us to say. And so I think that's one of the benefits of it. I mean, Sabs, you and I have talked about, so many things that are not the benefit of corporations. And, with a sponsorship, we wouldn't be able to say it. We would be hamstringed in that way.
Yep. There's certain strings attached with that.
And I don't believe in having strings attached when it comes to that. And because of you guys make us able to talk about the things that are better for workers, despite the, profit seeking. So just want to thank you guys, because you guys have helped us to be able to keep this channel up and running. Thank you so much. All right, Sabs. Anything else you want to add before we hit the road?
That's it, Jaybe.
All right. Like the lady said, let's go ahead and head on out. All right, everybody. Water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world better than you found it. Do all the things if you got them. And want forehead kisses, because that's the type of people we are. And I gave you forehead kisses on behalf of Sabby Sabs too, because that's the type of woman she is. She loves all of y'all. Bye. And we're out. Butterfly in the sky.